Welcome to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast, where you get straightforward, no-nonsense ideas on leadership and growth, both personally and professionally. It's brought to you by the Chief Coaching Officer of the Peak Performance Group. He's also a brilliant and successful serial entrepreneur. He's a two-time author. He's a certified executive coach. He's a sales genius. He's bald.
Hey now.
And he's your host of the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast. Buckle your chin strap. Here's your host, Coach Rick Colster.
Hey, welcome to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Rick. Remember to subscribe and like. We'll be on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube video. Hit like and subscribe, folks. We got to get you in there. Today, our guest is a remarkably interesting guy. He's worked with some of the top Fortune 500 companies like Nike, Microsoft, Comcast, just a few of them. He's also known as the architect. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And this is because of his knack of helping turn around companies. He's also a best-selling author and shares his message on leadership and business growth around the country. One of the things I find really interesting is also work with Tony Robbins, who really got me into the personal development business, let's say 30 years ago or more. And he was one of his top presenters. That's actually where we met. This is one tough, battle-tested CEO, and he's on the Bald Truth today. And you know what? I like him. He's got a pretty good haircut too. Today, welcome Jason Sisneros to the Bald Truth. Jason, welcome, my brother. How are you doing?
Couldn't be better, brother. I'm so glad to be on your show, Rick, and and good to see your face after all these years when we met all that time ago, and just to see you're getting better looking over time. It's good.
Well, you're a good liar, but that's good. You know, the Bald Truth allowed me to talk with so many interesting people. It's really been a cool journey, and I'm really excited to catch up with you here because we met 10, 12 years ago when you were running around the country for Tony. So yeah, tell me about this.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Give us a little heads up. You started your own company. You're now the business architect, which I think is cool as they go. You're known as the architect for small and medium-sized businesses. Mm-hmm. What's that all about? And then we'll jump into some other stuff.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, one of the things that I figured out while I was working with Tony, so the beginning of my career, I learned what not to do in business. I think that there's a lot of companies and business owners that understand this, right? When you have most business owners have been in business upwards of 3 or 4 times, they fail 3 or 4 times before they're ever successful. And I'm no different. I had 3 bankruptcies and went into radical depression because, like most of us, my business was me. I was my business instead of understanding that it's supposed to be a machine that creates cash, not end up being my identity. So,
isn't that funny? Because that's what happens. We all have got to get kicked in the teeth and knocked down. I mean, I started a business. I bought my first business at 22. I had no business starting a bar, by the way. It was a bar, go figure.
Yeah.
And 22 years old, I'm a bar in my hometown. I had no business running this bar. I was fresh out of college. Didn't know anything really about business yet. And within a year, my partners were kicking my ass out the door. Mm-hmm. And I learned a hard lesson there. Why is it you think that we have to learn those hard lessons to be able to do what we do now?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is it's ego, right? And arrogance. And, if you think about it, it's like, there's like this, you've heard of the crazy hot matrix, right? So
I think I dated some of those girls.
Right, exactly. So I look at it like the crazy hot matrix for business. And on one side of the matrix, you've got arrogance, right? And then on the other matrix, you've got ignorance. And we all start out, if you're going to get in business at all, you're right in that tiny little corner where you're at the height of arrogance and you're at the height of ignorance because you have no idea. You're getting into something that SBA year after year, the Small Business Administration says 50% of the time you're going to be out of business in a year, and 95% of you are going to be out of business in 5 years, right?
Okay, true.
So you got to be arrogant and a little bit ignorant to get in that game in the first place. So arrogance, though, on a long enough timeline, is it becomes competence, right? And so you go from arrogant to competence because you gain skill set. Now, arrogance ignorance on a long enough time frame will eventually become educated, right? So you want a good mixture of arrogance educated and at the top of that, competence. But that doesn't happen without wisdom. Now, how do you get the wisdom? One set of ways, like you and I did. We go bang our head up against the wall and we learn, don't do that. Or you learn from guys like us, right? But it's very rare because you've got a bunch of people out there that call themselves business gurus. Sure. And 99% of them are idiots, and they don't know what they're talking about because they've never owned a business except for the one that's trying to sell you some crap, right? I always wanted to learn from people that bump their heads because that's who's going to be able to tell you how to avoid those things. So you do it, and the greatest mixture, I believe, is failing a little bit on your own, learning from people like us that have made those mistakes to help avoid them, and it's a mixture of those two. I didn't know enough to ask, who do I talk to, until I had already bankrupted myself 3 times.
Yeah. Well, then I think that's normal. That happens way too often for folks, whether it's you're working in corporate and you told the boss what you really thought of them when you probably shouldn't have done that, right? Which led you to go try to find somewhere else to be employed. Yeah. Or you go start your own business. We wrote a book, 10 years ago. It's almost 10 years ago now, Selling for Geniuses, which was all about small business owners coming out with great competence, amazing competence in a skill set. There were subject matter experts in what they did. Could have been an accountant, could have been an electrician, could have been whatever. They want to start their own business, but they don't have dumb shits on how to sell what they do. They just they were the greatest electrician out there, but they never knew how to sell it. So we gave them how to sell it. And that's just one piece of they're really competent at one thing, but just didn't know how to sell it. Now,
there's 4 pillars. Yeah, there's 4 pillars of business. There's the finances, which, it's like China. It's like you go to China, if you don't speak Chinese, you don't know the language. And I would say 90% of the business owners that I have dealt with over time, again, we have a consulting company. A little bit of history so everybody knows who they're kind of talking to is that I have owned my own companies. I did travel with Tony. I crashed my businesses. Then I took really copious notes as I went through those failures, and then went to work for Tony. And when I was on the road for Tony and speaking, I got exposed to some of the greatest business minds on the planet. And I would sit down with them. I would bribe them. I'd be like, I'll come do your dishes. And I would take my notebook and I would say, what would you have done in this scenario? And so at the end of my time with Tony, I ended up with an amazing set of strategies and systems and processes. And then I went into turnaround, made enough money doing that. I started buying my own companies, built up a fairly large private equity firm, no partners, no debt, no investors. And then sold that at the beginning of 2019. And now really just have the consulting company. And I get to spend most of my time, as you know, doing rescues of underage girls and boys being trafficked in the sex trade, domestic violence and feeding people. So, but that's what happens if you do this right. You get your opportunity to live your version of freedom. And most business owners don't realize that that's what they're chasing. They think it's knowing.
I think knowing their purpose is part of the critical piece is that. So here's a question. Here's something. As the architect, what do you find when you work with those small to medium-sized businesses, when you're working with them, what's something you find that's consistent every single time you talk to one of those companies or the owners or the president, the owners, the leaders in that company? What's something that you find is consistent that you can work on?
Something that is consistent. I'll tell you the one of the consistent barriers that I always see, right, is that there's a bit of ego, a bit of arrogance, which I told you there has to be a little bit of that. It's not always a bad thing, but when it gets to a place of I know everything, and I just don't trust anybody. I understand not trusting people. Trust me, where it's difficult. Everybody that's ever read a book now is a great marketing guru, and and all that kind of stuff. So it's there's a lot of choices, but there's very few choices where you can actually check their references and see that they've done a good job for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
so I would say that once you get over your arrogance of knowing everything and understand why you're arrogant, you stand in the middle of your business. All your employees look to you for answers. You stand in the middle of your family. Your wife, your husband, your kids all look to you for the solutions. You stand in the middle of your community, right? You're standing, you're involved like you've been in your local community at a super high level. Your church or your synagogues or your faith, your communities of faith. You stand in the middle of that, and everybody gets to a place where they're like, Rick's got the answer. Rick's got the answer. And we get that enough over and over and over again that we start to believe it. And now that sets us in a place where we go, well, I have all the answers. So I think, to answer your question, the very first thing you got to get over is the idea that you got to be a constant learner, and that humility to know that you don't know everything is one of the greatest gifts and tools in your tool belt that you can carry with you for life. And then secondarily is understand that whatever you're doing, if you optimize it, I did some research over a 5-year period of time. I found that there was about roughly 112 touch points in any business to optimize what they're already doing. And that doesn't mean, and that is selling or spending $0 to optimize your business. About 112 places you can do that. Now, when you take some of the world-class businesses that are out there, Apple, the ones that you know of, right? The $1 trillion businesses, the multi-billion dollar businesses, as I did my research into those companies, they're doing about 40 things right on that list of 112. So you can see how radically successful. Now, if you go to most small to mid-sized organizations, they're doing 2 or 3 of them right.
Okay. So that's something
what I would say that.
Go ahead. What you were
I was just going to finish that thought with the idea that what you are doing right now can be optimized by 200 to 300 to 400% with spending no more money. Right.
Well, and that's what I think they all want. Every small business wants to do, because we're all on budgets. We get it. I mean, you and I, we basically run our own small business.
Yep.
We're not Microsoft. We're not, Apple. We're none of that. And I guess that's something that was in leading up to the question I had was what makes them best in class? And you answered it for me without me even asking the question. Mm-hmm. Is they do more of the important things right. So if we were to say to small business owner, someone who's listening, and they say, okay, what can I do? Do more of those 112 things right. You don't have to do all of them right, because that's what I think a misnomer. You can't.
If you identify 20, just 20, I tell people all the time, if you identify 20 touch points in your business and you just focused on them for the next 12 months, that you're going to have a radically different experience with your business at the end of that 12 months. And a lot of people want to, they want to change things. So there's 2 types of business owners: the ones that haven't been jaded yet, right? And they'll try they go to every seminar, they read every book, they buy every program. Everything's always new and exciting, which is a great place to be, except for 90%. Let's say 80% of the content that you're getting is not good for you. You shouldn't be listening to it, and you shouldn't be implementing that in your business. Now that flips you over into the jaded business owner who's gotten to a place where I don't believe shit from anyone, right? It doesn't. It's like the old farmer. Yeah, I've heard that 7 generations ago that stuff was going to make my plant grow big as the beanstalks. But somewhere in between there is the right solution to get the right content. You've got to be a learner, but figuring out those 20 places, and you don't have to be a magician. I'll tell you what, 90% I would say almost 100% of the business owners that are watching this, I would rather listen to you on stage. Somebody that's been in business over a year, made $1 million maybe in sales, been in business over a year, 5 years especially. If you've been in business past 5 years, I want to listen to you from stage more than I do 99% of the assholes that are on stage these days, because you know how you've got to deal with employees not showing up. You've got to deal with bailing employees out of jail so that the job will get done in the middle, at the day. You have to deal with all of these issues on a consistent basis. Look at those things that have happened more than 10 times, and we'll call them mistakes, but they're opportunities for growth that have happened more than 10 times. Pick 20 of them and improve on those 20 spots for the next 12 months with documentation, and there's systems and things that you can learn how to do that. But at the minimum, if you focus on those 20 spots, your business is going to be radically different in a year from now.
And that's the growth factor we're all looking for, right? And that everyone's looking for in order to do it. And you're right. I mean, I don't know, I've been doing this 17 going on 18 years now. So, figuring it out, even as a small
program.
business owner.
Yeah, I built a digital program for business owners, and it's called Growth: How to Master Your Business G-Spot.
I love it.
So G-Spot, right?
Because you always find something interesting, dude. I'll tell you what, you always want to put a twist in there, make it funny, make it interesting.
Because I don't care anymore. Like I want to have a good time, and I want people, like, here's the funny thing, when we do the thing, when I called it that, my entire team goes, that's going to offend so many people. I go, if you can be offended by a play on the word growth, right? The word growth, every business owner wants growth in their business. And so a play on G-Spot, because very few business owners know how to find the spot that grows their company consistently over a long period of time. And if you get offended by that play on words, that is why you will be out of business and you won't be around. Because I don't care what the society is doing right now with all this bullshit political correctness. If I look at you wrong, if I call you the wrong pronoun, if I call you the wrong name, whatever it is that you've made up in your own head that the world needs to adjust to you, that is not a sustainable way for anything to work. It doesn't work in real life. It doesn't work on this planet, and it's never going to be working. And so if you can be offended by the name of my program, you're going to fail. You're going to be out of business anyway. If you're going to spend time being offended, my grandpa had a great line. Jason, you'll never be offended if you won't be.
Well, and you're absolutely right. We live in the offense world right now. We want to be offended.
Stupid.
And it's the dumbest freaking thing on the face of the planet. And I agree with you 100% on that. Because everybody wants to walk around being offended. And like you said, I think you said, he says, I don't care. I'm too old to care. And I kind of take that sense myself. I'm old enough. I've got some thick skin. I've got my ass kicked more times than not. I was looking at something the other day. Somebody's telling me about, hey, let's start an anti-bucket list, things you don't want to do. Right. I said, my anti-bucket list is bigger than my bucket list. I know what the hell I don't ever want to do again. And that's just it, is if you're going to walk around offended, you're not going to be able to grow your business. You're not going to be able to do anything, because everything gets offended. I heard something the other night. It was just, I said, they got offended at that? Really? I looked at my wife and I went, what the hell's wrong with these people?
Because we allow it. We've gotten to be such a lazy, entitled group of human beings that we've forgotten what it took to get us here, to have this level of freedom, to have this level of opportunity. Not everybody, but a large portion. And this happens in the fall of, if anybody cares to read about history, it happens in the fall of every great empire, is that people get to a place where they get entitled. And now it's all about how much can people give me for free? The promises from the government, the currency goes to shit in a handbasket. The morals go to shit in a handbasket. And then somebody that comes along that's willing to do the work, that's not offended, that will come in here and wipe out our entire family and not care that they're offending us, right? If somebody invaded the US, it's like, you can't shoot me with that bullet. You can't do that because I'm black. You can't do that because I'm white. You can't do that because I'm gay, because I'm a woman. And they're just like, you're dead because I want you dead, And that's how the world actually works,
That's one of the things we're seeing today. And the ball truth is about leadership, but I see we're going to go down a path here, because we have similar views, and we're looking at what's happening in our society today. And aside from business and including business, as we include business, think about what's happening with all the small business owners right now. I mean, I live in a small town outside Dallas, Fort Worth. And I'll tell you what, I do everything I can do to buy, stay local, take care of my buddies. You know, they got a little restaurant, two buddies of mine, a little restaurant around the corner. Where do I go when I want takeout? Boom. If I don't feel like going out, you know, because COVID's kept me in, what do? I call in the order, I drive in, I pick it up. I spend $40 with them, $50 with them, come home, watch TV. You know, it's for dinner. Why not spend it locally? And these small business owners are getting their asses kicked right now. They really are. And so how do we do the things we need to do better? Those 112 things that you've identified. How do you do those 20? But how do we protect ourselves from being closed down? I mean, it's bullshit we're being closed down, bottom line.
Yeah, you open up. Look, at the end of the day, remember that a government, that a democratic republic operates with the informed consent of its citizens, right? Informed consent. Now we're informed, and we don't have to give our consent. They can threaten to take away our liquor licenses, and they can threaten to shut us down. They have no constitutional ability to be able to do so. One of my clients is Bada Fulkerson down in San Diego. I'll just give you a real quick example. They're a personal injury law firm who has taken up the fight for small businesses in San Diego, California, the Socialist Republic of California. And what they did was they put in an injunction for the restaurants to say exactly what I just said. They fought the constitutional, the judge came back and he said, everybody in San Diego County can open their businesses right now. It has to be a mass decision, but one person has to stand up. There's that iconic picture where Hitler, you know, you're in Hitler's Germany, and there's this guy and everybody's, you know, doing the Heil, and he's like in the crowd, and he's like, I'm not
so sure about this.
Why are we doing this, right? And the guy was killed. Like, he was killed because he didn't comply. Yeah. But it was very shortly after people were like, why are we doing this? Why are we murdering people? What is the justification? You know, all that kind of stuff. You have to start somewhere, and everybody in this country shut down because we trusted our government. You know this because you've been in business, you've been around business. What happens when the business owner and or the CEO and or the president and or the general manager and or the manager of a department, what happens when they lose the faith and trust of their people? It fails.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. It fails. Yeah. And what has happened is they took that, and we trusted our government enough to say, okay, let's find out what this is. If this is a mass disease and there's a pandemic and whatever, we'll take the precautions that we need to, forgetting that this country fought 2 wars during pandemics before, you know, to maintain our freedom, one to get away from England, one to abolish slavery, pandemics in both, right? And we get to this place, we're like, okay, we're going to go home and sit on our couch. Got it. For enough time to flatten the curve. Well, we flattened the curve. Never happened. Not only that, but you have hospitals shutting down and doctors and nurses being laid off by crazy. We have the science now that tells us we can do things safely instead of allowing our governmental overlords to tell us what to do. They don't have our informed consent now. They don't have it. They work for us, and they tell us to stay home.
We completely lost that. Is who works for who at this point?
To me, it's like, okay, the only reason why a mayor or a governor or a congressman or a congresswoman or the president of the United States, the only way that their paycheck gets paid is by what? The production of the citizenry, and taking away via tax a portion of that to maintain the republic, right? And that's how they're paid. Now you want us to stay home and you're going to get a paycheck. How does that work? If I'm not producing a tax base, how is your paycheck You need to stop taking a check. You, the government, you need to stop taking a check.
It's almost like cannibalism, eating yourself.
It's stupid.
It's the dumbest thing out there. It really is. And you're absolutely right. So, all right. So let's switch back to some business stuff, because we can go down this road all the time. And
it is kind of business, man, because we got to stand up as a business community together and
that's where we got to band together as business owners. Say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's, look, you're healthy. I'm healthy. There's some unhealthy people in this world. People are going to die. That's never going to stop. I know there's an end of the road for me somewhere. Right. So my sister bought me a shirt on my 60th birthday. It says a picture of Jesus. It says happy 60th. See you soon.
See you soon. Well, I'm a Christian.
So I know
it's my
coming.
mentor. Yeah. My pastor, Pastor Rudy, ex-Reforce Recon. He's the guy that I have his back. We go do undercover rescues of these little girls,
sure,
and put our lives on the line all the time. And he told me a long time ago and it stuck with me. He said, Jason, how do you kill a dead man? Well, I'm already dead. I'm already, this is already dead. So, what all I'm doing is waiting to go home. And what I do here is it will echo an eternity. Maybe it won't. But at the end of the day, I'm already a dead man. And so I can't run around. We're sitting here going, oh, we're going to put all these things in place to protect life. There is no guarantee of a tomorrow or a next moment for any of us. And whenever we started believing that, I don't understand it.
Well, I love the belief system. I already know where I'm going.
Yeah.
As a believer, I know where I'm going. I don't hide it. I don't dance around it. I'm a believer and I know where I'm going, bottom line. And so it's okay to do what you need to do now. And as business owners, we've got to stand up. So what can we do? What do you think we can do? Can we just start a movement to say enough is enough? I've had enough and I'm not going to take it anymore. We're partially steal a line from a movie.
Yeah, I love that. So what we're doing is in 2021, we're starting a movement. It's called Rebuild the Middle Class. Okay. And that is the crux of the freedom is having your independent access to capital. Okay. And if you are now stuck with major corporations, the only way you can make money, or the government's the only way you can make money, now you're a slave. Right. So small to mid-sized companies are the cornerstone of the freedom that everybody seeks in the United States of America. So we are banding together. We do it. I'm the Bald Avenger. If anybody wants to look me up or whatever, the Bald Avenger show. And we have a group of people called Misfits. It's Misfit Nation. You can find us on Facebook. And we band together. There's no monetary thing behind Misfit Nation. We just started it as sort of a group of freedom fighters that has come together around the idea that the only thing that you can do is what you can do. And so if you're a business owner, go open your damn business. Go open your damn business. If you're thinking about starting a business, start your damn business. If you're running a company and you're not in one of the shutdown states, run your company better. Like, the more money that you can produce with your machine called a company, the more influence and power you're going to have, and more say so. The reason I can say the things that I do on my show, the reason why I don't have to care, is because I've got more money than anybody's opinion can take away from me. I can't be canceled. How do you cancel somebody that can't be canceled? You can't. And so I don't care. You could take my life.
We've got to get our business owners, get them there. So get that message out. That's a great idea. And so the Bald Avenger, we're going to listen to the Bald Avenger.
Yep.
And that'll be down below, folks. Look down below. You'll see the Bald Avenger. We'll have it tagged right there, and how you can listen to the podcast, just listen to Jason and hear some of his thoughts. And I look forward to hearing it. So, okay, I want to be conscious of your time. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on. So I always do something a little different. I want to get to know the folks I'm talking to. So I've got a couple of interesting questions.
Let's do it.
Here it is. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So here it is. I call them the bald truth questions. You get to hold a dinner party, and it's for 6 people, yourself included. So you get to invite 5 people to a dinner party. It's 5 people, whoever you want to invite. They could be alive, dead, anyone in all of history. alive or dead, who do you invite and why?
That's a really great question. There's two answers that I could give. Here's the truth, the bald truth of what I would do. So when I travel around, I do a lot of speaking, all that kind of stuff around the country. We do these things, and it's called the bald signal. Okay. And so I go, let's say I'm in San Diego, the bald signal goes out on Facebook. Hey, we're doing a pop-up dinner, and we're going to get together for Misfit Nation. Right. And so wherever I'm at in the country, we get together. There's usually somewhere between 5 and 50 people show up. And it's the weirdest group of human beings that you'll ever meet. You got a billionaire at one end of the table. You got somebody that just got out of prison on the other end of the table. You got somebody that's into the bowls and the crystals on one side. And you got a used car salesman over here. Those are my favorite dinners to attend. So I would pick 5 to 10 random people that think completely different than me, that look completely different than me. And I would just sit down and have conversations about the stuff that matters to us. Now, the other side of that question is definitely Ronald Reagan, definitely Abraham Lincoln, definitely JFK. I would love to talk to, the guy from England. Churchill. Yeah. I would love to have Churchill at that table. Probably who else would I like to have there? Elvis Presley would be amazing. And then that's one more. Probably Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher.
Okay. So a lot of politics. So world changers.
Yes.
That'd be a great, you know what I really like, Jason? That was a great answer. But you know what I really like is we need to have conversations with people not like us.
Yep.
That's, I think, the game.
That's what makes life fascinating. It makes life fascinating. And you don't have to be angry, and you don't have to, just because somebody's a Democrat, you don't have to hate them. Just because somebody's a Republican, they're not a racist. Just because somebody's gay doesn't mean that they're not lovely people. Just because somebody's black doesn't mean they're this. Because somebody's white, that they're that. That is all playing into an elite, right? That uses us as puppets. That's all we are to them. And we're playing their game really well right now.
And we are. And I think we are. And that's, if we can get past the fact, I want to have a conversation with someone that's not like me, because we surround ourselves with people just like us. It's bottom line. That's just it's human nature. Is what we do. I mean, even when I was I worked for Fox Sports, and I used to hire guys. Guess what I had? I had a sales force full of 35 to 40-year-old white guys. That was, 30 years ago. Yeah. And that's what it was. They all looked like me, acted like me, thought like me. And we had to get that diversity. And that's where we really have to get to, is not be afraid of it and allow ourselves to.
I mean, you want to talk about something, white men right now are the most discriminated against human beings on the face of the planet.
No doubt. And I'm in the age category too.
And so be it. I mean, everybody's had to, this is the thing. I've got a really great liberal friend of mine that I use him, and there's a woman too, that I use them as sanity checks, because they're both just beautiful human beings, but wrong as in my opinion, right? Yeah, they're wrong as the day is long. But we have these really great conversations. And one of the fundamental things that I'm constantly arguing with them about is that there is no guarantee, and it's not written anywhere, that this life is supposed to be fair. It's not there. And to set things up to where you're trying to make it fair is not, it's actually making people weak when you're trying to do things that set the level playing field. There is no such thing as a level playing field. Some people are smarter. Some people are better looking. Some people have more money. Some people have better families. Some people have no family. Some people can't speak a language. Some people can't conceptualize an intricate piecing together of stuff. Some people are meant to do menial tasks. Some people are meant to do complicated tasks. There's no such thing as a level playing field.
It's interesting. One of my dearest friends in the world got me going in this business, in the coaching industry. And he's as far polar opposite from me politically as anyone can be. We're completely 180. I mean, he's this far left, I'm far right.
Yep.
And he is the absolute kindest human being on the face of the planet. And I'll share this for you. The day I met him, and this is not an ego thing with him or nothing. This is just his kindness that's in his heart. He said, let's go have dinner. I said, all right, let's go have dinner, whatever. This is 17 years ago. He says, I'll take you to dinner. Okay, great. You're the mentor. You'll take me to dinner. He says, by the way, you can never buy dinner. I said, bullshit. I'll buy you dinner one day. He goes, no, you can't buy dinner. And that's just his way.
Yeah.
And every time I he says, if you tried to buy me dinner at some point, not because he's trying to be a big shot or show off or any of that. He just has that kindness, that giving heart. He said, I'll never have dinner with you again. So guess what? 17 years, I've never bought dinner. I won't. And I stopped trying 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But we're polar opposite in our thinking, but we're still dearest friends in the world. He's going through cancer treatment right now. He's done 32 weeks of chemotherapy at Mayo Clinic. But he's got the best attitude. I love that man with all my heart. And, even if he doesn't agree with me politically, I agree with him philosophically who he is as a human being. And
most of us do. And this is the truth right there. You want to talk about a bald truth is that is America. That's the truth. The main difference I had a guy on my show that was a brain scientist and one of the top in the entire world. And he said, you know what the difference is between a liberal and a conservative? And he goes, this is at the cellular level, right? In the prefrontal cortex and all of the connections that are made in the brain. Is he said that both of them want to help people. A liberal believes that government is the right way to do that, and a conservative believes that the individual's right to do that. Right? That's the main difference between the two of us. And government, generally speaking, there has been times that government has been good, but for the most part throughout history and in America, it hasn't done the right things fast enough. Where on the other side of the equation, you've got more of the conservative thinking. And again, these are generalizations, but it made a lot of sense to me that we believe that if I have $1,000 in my bank account and I believe that I want cancer that's a big deal for me, I can take $999 of that and go give it to somebody that I believe is going to put it to good use. Right. Mm-hmm. Whereas my taxes are taken and you can see the garbage that's happening. These people are lining their pockets. How do you have Nancy Pelosi that makes, let's say $250,000 a year and she's worth $200-300 million? How does that happen?
Number.
Yeah. Benjamin Franklin said, if you go into public service poor and you come out rich, you stole. Who are they stealing from? They're stealing from us. They're stealing from this constituents. And it's time. That time is coming to an end. It'll either come violently or it'll come peacefully, but it's coming to an end. Absolutely.
So, all right. Second question for you. An article's being written about you after you're gone. What's the title? Not what's in it. What's the title?
The title? The title is, well, that's a great question. The title would be Jason Sisneros. He did it his way and eased suffering in the world.
Awesome. Good stuff. Finally, what do you do? This is good. This is something to help everybody, which, like you said, is something we all want to do. We want to give back and help. What do you do every morning to set yourself up for success? What's your habits?
There's so many, bro. There's so many. I mean, it goes,
how do you start your day?
Yeah. Well, I start my day. I mean, as soon as my eyes open, I'm thanking God for that's my very first moment is when my eyes open, or even consciousness. It's even before my eyes. I just say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for another day. Thank you for my life that I get to live. Thank you. So it's, it's appreciation, but it's to my God, my Jesus. And that's the very first thought. And even before I became a Christian, when I got baptized, that was always my very first moment. So then roll out, I do some breathing exercises. I want to get all the bad air out, good air in. I usually either I sit down, I do a Bible study or I jump into the Word somehow, play some music, Usually it's Christian music in the background. Make some green tea. I don't drink coffee. Start my day off in a really peaceful manner. And then I go get a workout in. And while I'm working out, I'm setting my agenda for the day. And what I want to focus on, but it's that there's about 150 things that are done before I go to the gym that are just habit now. It's the supplements that I take, the water that I drink, the prayers, the word, how I look at the world, the words that I say to my loved ones, those types of things. There's about 150 things that are now just habit.
That's awesome. See, that's mind, body, and spirit. Just got to combine all that together. So, well, dude, this has been awesome. I want to thank you for being on. I want to do another one. We're going to get you back on the Bald Truth, and we're going to dig into some more of the politics. We're going to dig into some more of your background. I really want to hear some of the bad stuff, some of the defeats that you've had. And I know you've had
a lot of those
failures.
We need
because we learned
three or four shows to get all those out.
Well, I'm good, man. We'll do a couple more. I'd love to have you back anytime. I appreciate you spending time with me, man. It's been good to see you and talk to you again. And
thanks for the work you do, brother. Thanks for the work. I just wanted to tell everybody, that them following you, obviously they're listening to this one, but if you came here because of, my name or it was on my show or whatever it is, Rick is somebody that I respect, somebody that has done the work that y'all are looking to do, and somebody that I would say is a high level person that you should and could get information and coaching and advice from. He won't lead you in the wrong direction. So thanks for your show. Thanks for the work that you do. Thanks for who you've been, over your lifetime.
Well, hey, Jason, thank you for that. That's kind words. That's it. So how can people get in touch with you or learn more about you?
The Bald Avenger the Bald Avenger on Facebook, the Bald Avenger on YouTube, the Bald Avenger show.com. And jasonsisneros.com is obviously that you can find all of the stuff. AntonJae.com is my business. That's my consulting company. And that's probably all the places.
Good. Folks, Jason's doing some great work out in the world. Check him out, jasonsisneros.com, the Bald Avenger podcast. Listen to that right after you listen to the Bald Truth, of course.
Secondarily.
Of course. Age before beauty, I guess, right?
Amen, baby.
So, folks, it's been a pleasure, and we're going to have Jason back sometime in the near future. I'm Coach Rick, and that's the Bald Truth.
You've been listening to the Bald Truth with Coach Rick of the Peak Performance Group, the company that helps people and organizations reach their potential. If you're looking for a way to grow your organization, whether it's sales or strategic direction, the Peak Performance Group coaches can help you grow with their proven business acceleration process. Call them at 817-748-7425 or go to mypotentialplus.com and they'll connect you with the right coach for you. And remember to subscribe and like below. The Bald Truth Leadership Podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, and YouTube video. Hit like and subscribe to get every episode. Thanks for listening to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast. And until next time, roll up your sleeves and get to work, and you can make things happen.
I'm Coach Rick, and that's the Bald Truth.